Thank you so much for joining us today on WindowsWear Live. It's our honor to have our guest speaker today. Very special day. He has 9 years of experience as a retail focused in interior designer and project manager with a diverse design portfolio ranging from mass to high-end luxury products. Working closely with leading brands in developing innovative solutions, enhance brand storytelling and execution for domestic and international expansions. It's a very pleasure to welcome Josias Lemuel from LVMH Acqua di Parma. Please welcome, and I'm gonna let him speak now. If anybody has a question, Josias will be answering them at the end. Feel free to text them in the chat and I can be monitoring them, and Josias will get through them at the end. Thank you, Josias, for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Raul, for the introduction. So how do you guys? Again, I'm Josias from LVMH. I wanted to make it a little bit less informal, so the experience you're going to feel. We're going to have a couple of questions, and then we're going to have all the results as we go along. Okay, so let me see if I can share my screen. Here we go. And let me know if you guys can see this.
Perfect. Yeah, it's great, Josias.
Perfect. Okay, so WindowsWear Live invited me to speak to you guys about uncovering a brand's DNA and developing a new retail concept. So it's something that we've been working on here at Acqua di Parma for the last 3 years. So I'm excited to share with you the things that we've been up to. And I'll go through a quick agenda, just the brand DNA. So what does that mean exactly when we talk about a brand's DNA? The planning of it. So, you know, as I mentioned earlier, it took about 3 years to get to this point. The actual design, so you'll get to, I'll transport you virtually to our boutique in Milano. And then again, some learnings and, sorry. And again, we'll do the Q&A at the end. Okay, so what do we mean when we talk about a brand's DNA? So extra points for anybody who can actually say DNA. And also, in talking about DNA, why would a heritage brand decide to make such a change? And what factors drive a brand to innovate and remodel? Okay, so let's get started. Does anybody recognize this particular brand? I don't know if you guys are responding in the chat.
McDonald's.
Perfect. So this is obviously a very recognizable brand. It is McDonald's. And you can see these are some of the brand codes that call out to McDonald's. It's very recognizable. I'll try a different one, a little bit harder.
IKEA.
Okay. I'm hearing some answers here. Perfect. Yes, so this is IKEA. And in fact, here I chose to take out some elements that you might not necessarily associate with the brand, but you might associate with an experience of the brand. So here we have those little tiny pencils that they give you at IKEA when you walk in to do your checklist, the brand codes and colors, and the meatballs. Of course, everybody can remember trying or knowing about the IKEA meatballs. What about this brand?
Like Gillette or something like that.
Is this Amore Pacific?
I'm not going to give you guys any clues. Just again, if the brand wasn't successful in giving you just a smidget of their brand DNA. All right, I'll let you in on a secret. It's Starbucks. So these are the brand codes of Starbucks. I chose the foam latte. So if you can associate those two together, then you know it's Starbucks. They're getting a little harder, you guys. So here we have 2 separate brands.
Amazon and Apple.
Okay, awesome. So it's very instantly recognizable. It seems like most of you guys got it right. And again, just with either a color, a shape, you immediately get the feeling of what the brand is all about. I'll try another one.
Locks.
Acqua di Parma.
Actually, yes, it is in fact our brand. This is our famous Frutti di Oro and our iconic bottle shape. So I wanted to share with you a little bit, a video also that can hopefully invoke our brand's DNA. Well, hopefully many of you guys got some of our cues. For those that don't know our brand, I would like to do a little poll with you guys, if you allow me. What does Acqua di Parma make? And then I'll give you a couple of seconds to try that poll out. It should pop up on your screen. And then Raul, let me know when people have completed.
We just got over 50% of the people voting. We'll just wait another few moments as everyone completes the voting, and then we'll share the results of the poll. Some people are really thinking about their answers. We'll give it another few more seconds and then we'll close the polling. We almost have absolutely everyone complete.
I'll let you in on a little secret. It's a trick question.
Okay, so I'm ending the polling and I'll share the results.
I'm curious what you guys are gonna post. Okay, so the majority of you guys think we make face masks. And although that is true, as I said, this was a trick question because we actually have made all of these items at one point in our history. So moving forward, we are a brand that is over 100 years old. We were established in 1916 and we are iconically Italian. So some of our brand DNA, as we were seeing earlier, are that we are handcrafted, 100% Italian, and we have I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're 100% Italian. We are handcrafted, and we are of the utmost premium quality. Okay, here's a quick slide. As you saw the video earlier, all of our ingredients are sourced in Italy, and all of the products are handcrafted and made in Italy as well. And as you saw the iconic brand DNA earlier, the abstract, it's the Frutti di Oro that's in all of our scents. They're carefully chosen, handpicked, and distilled to create all of our products. In essence, we're a fragrance house. Okay, so moving forward, another poll for you guys, and you'll get used to the polling as we move along. What would drive a brand to innovate? Is it because we are running out of money? Is it because we have unclear brand identity due to digital competition or the increase of younger consumers?
Okay, this time people are voting very quickly.
Okay, good. I'm glad you guys got the hang of it. I'm curious to see what you think.
A couple more of you left. I'm going to open it up for a few more seconds, then I'm going to close the poll. All righty, Josias, you ready?
Yeah, I'm curious to see what everybody's thinking here. Okay, so you guys are almost tied between unclear brand identity and younger consumers. So yes, that some of these answers for each of the different brands that I've worked with has been slightly different. Specifically for Acqua di Parma, we spent the last 3 years doing research and consumer research. And these are some of the metrics that we were able to find. You know, our customers are between the age of 25 to 44. They're very market and tech savvy, so they're always on their phones. They're researching other brands. They seek quality. So again, in that sense, we've always offered premium products for them. Interestingly enough, 55% of them are male, but 45% are female. So we're also engaging some of our products. As you'll see, some of our products are geared for women. They also crave authenticity and have high expectations. And overall, they desire a brand to give them an experience. So part of the whole development and research led us to creating a whole new line of novelty and innovation. In the last 3 years, we've launched genderless fragrances. We focused again on women, and we've even won for the last 2 years consecutively, the Allure Beauty Best of Beauty Award. And now this year we've moved on also to expanding our home and lifestyle collections. So it's very interesting stuff for our brand as we've been researching and developing this product and also this retail concept. So where does that take us? Where were we before? So here you have a slide of all of our different boutiques. I only took a snippet of 5 of them before the renovations. And as you can see, yes, they are very high quality, they're luxurious, but they really weren't all telling one cohesive story. Here we have the boutique in Milano. Again, I walked into this one specifically before the renovations, and it does feel very opulent. It is very Italian, but again, the brand DNA and the brand codes were just not immediately recognizable to the customers. Here we have the last version of our previous design was built in Miami in Brickell City Center. And as you can see, it's a very beautiful, very clean, modern aesthetic. But again, it may not evoke the immediate brand recognition that we're looking for. Okay, so how did it all begin? So back into 2017, our CEO, Laura Bordesi, started a global competition with architects. So we created a design brief and we sent it out to various different firms around the world. And we received a lot of interesting proposals, but we ended up choosing one of the studios in Paris, run by Patricia Grosdeman, and she's actually an LVMH group architect. So although we looked outside, we ended up bringing it in-house for the new design. And again, this is our CEO, Laura. And not only did she bring to us this new strategy for design, but she also changed and revamped our whole marketing campaigns and the way we look on social media, our website. So it was a whole revamp of the brand. And this is just a quick snippet of the team. Most of them were based in Europe. So we worked a lot with a team in Italy and France to develop a whole new aesthetic. So what does that mean? Or actually, I'm sorry, there's a poll here. What do you guys think that was a priority when we created our design brief that we send out to architects and the different competitions? So were we more interested in consumer engagement? Were we interested in sustainability? Were we interested in getting our brand to be instantly recognizable, or we were ready to get it to the market as quickly as possible. So I'll leave a couple of seconds for you guys to think about that. Okay, the poll just popped up on my screen. And again, here I'm looking for, what do you think, what you guys think that the priority was here?
Everyone's almost finished voting. I'm going to leave it up for a few more seconds, then I'm going to share the results.
Excellent. And obviously there was more to the brief that we created, but it looks like, okay, perfect. So you guys, most of you guys think it was because of the brand recognition, and yes, indeed, one of the priorities of our design brief was that our brand be more instantly recognizable in all the different touch points. And yes, the second one was consumer engagement. You guys are correct. Yes, sustainability was a priority, but not in that order. So yeah, the order was brand recognition, consumer engagement, sustainability, and speed to market.
Josias, I think for next time we might have to use our WindowsWear Live audience for your next design brief.
Yeah, you guys are right on point. Excellent. Okay, so now we get to the design. So where do we find the inspiration for the design? What was the brand storytelling? So what was the message that we were trying to convey, and some of the design features for the new design? So I have a video, bear with me. Let me know if anything goes wrong with the audio. Okay, sorry, the video is next. Okay, so our inspiration came from the modern Italian home. And by this, what do I mean specifically? So we specifically took from the architect Gio Ponti. So he's a very famous Italian architect. And I don't know if any of you have seen his furniture designs, but they're very classically modern, almost mid-century. So we took inspiration from that. We created our design palette. And again, in the brand recognition, we wanted to keep our iconic yellow and black and white as part of the design features, along with different design elements that you'll see in the video. And we started with our boutique in Milan. So here, the reason why we started is because it's our flagship boutique. Our headquarters are based in Milan. And this particular building was built in 1830, and it's in Via Monaponetto. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it well. And that avenue is like the Madison Avenue or the Fifth Avenue of New York City. So it's like right on the corner of all the top boutiques for fashion and for fragrance as well. So I want to make you travel to Milano and enjoy the video.
Out of sight, out of mind. In the darkness, there's no light. There you go. Now I know what it means to stay and fight. I won't give up, I won't give in. I'll give it everything. This feeling is real. My way, my love. Oh, 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 oh. is the road we chose to take. No regrets and no mistake. They say patience is a virtue, but I can't get through this feeling is real. I wouldn't know that now my way.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. The boutique was actually just finalized in August of 2019, so it's brand new. Hopefully after the pandemic, we'll be able to visit it again. And I encourage you guys to also, if you guys have a chance to travel again sometime in the future to Italy, to stop by the boutique. It's absolutely gorgeous. And here I wanted to just to show you the difference. This is a shot taken at the exact place. So this is the exact same room before the renovation and after the renovation. And then, you know, I can talk a little bit more about the materials and the codes, but I really just wanted to emphasize on keeping the brand's DNA in the new setting. So another quick poll for you guys that paid attention: were you able to spot any of our DNA elements in the video? And let me know which ones you were able to spot, or what became more recognizable to you as you saw the video.
I'll wait a few more seconds. Almost everyone has voted.
Excellent. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. All the answers are correct. So if any of you guys have a question there we go. Okay, let's see the result. Okay, the yellow elements. I'm very happy to hear that, because that was part of our design brief, that our iconic DNA and brand codes become instantly recognizable. And again, we also had a lot of you, some of you saw a lot of the different takes of our iconic bottle shape in the visual merchandising that we use. Obviously our logo, and we also have our barber service that's specific to the boutiques. So I'm very happy to hear that. So it seems like we were successful. Okay, sorry. Let me just go to the next. Okay, yes, so as you guys were mentioning, here's a shot of the interior of the boutique. The yellow is instantly recognizable. And some more shots. Again, I can, in Q&A, I can explain a little bit more about some of the different design features, but encompassing this Milano boutique, which is our flagship, is now it became our house of light and life. So the rollout. So where do we go from there? And where does the brand even begin to think about expanding and moving this to different markets or different locations? You know, how long do you think it took us? The layering of our storytelling, and also how do you keep it all the same and achieving the consistency? So in that, we had to take a look, we had to take a step back and actually see and analyze what we needed to do. So we had 7 boutiques around the world. We are in over 2,000 locations. So you can imagine, as a task, it's a very, it's a difficult challenge. But nevertheless, we came up with 4 different scenarios, because not one size fits all. So yes, as you saw in the video, the flagship is the pinnacle of our design, which is in Milano. And then the different iterations of that We had a type B, a type A, a type B, and also a temporary concept. So I want to explore a little bit about the type A. It's extrapolating what we did in Milan and adapting it to a local environment or a mall setting. As you see, maybe there's a different type of building. So this is what we came up with as our type A, which is an adaptation from the Milano boutique, taking some of the codes, the materials, those classic elements, the brand's DNA, and adapting it to a new space. These are just some renderings. We were working at the time pre-COVID, we were working on some boutiques in China. So I'm sorry I don't have the updated pictures, but this concept is being rolled out in China. And here, the same concept of having that Italian home, we zoned out the space into 3 different sections. So as you walk in, you have that first wow factor, which is your engagement with the customer. There we have the focal point of novelty and experiencing the brand. Then you move a little bit closer into the heart of the home or the kitchen. So there we have a beautiful long table that serves not only as our cash desk, but also a place where the associate can gift wrap the product. They can also really engage with any services that we might have. And finally, in what we call the library, is our barbershop, where you have that one-on-one experience with our classic Italian shaving service. And all-encompassing is what our idea of the Italian home was, translated for retail. Okay, so how do we even achieve consistency in all the different types of settings? So as a brand, we really have to create very clear guidelines and a packet and a kit for each of our different regions. So as mentioned, we have 2,000 touch points, and each of them have different regulations, different parameters. So we've created a library and a toolkit of different components that can be adapted to each of those settings. And I'll just share with you a couple of those examples. So here we have just a rendering of what a shop in shop would look like. And we're very detailed with all the different guidelines, keeping the brand codes as priority. And we actually executed this this last year in France and Le Bon Marché. So this is a shop in shop. And again, you can clearly see the brand iconic yellow, some of our natural elements, the travertine. You can see our logo. And also our focus on product. Here's a little close-up of that. And in this one specifically, we actually won an award for the Best Consumer Experience Initiative in Luxury and Beauty for our digital fragrance finder. So you walk into that shop and shop, and you're able to experience the different types of scents in our collection through a digital engagement. It's a touch screen that you can play around with. And we also, last year we also did in London, we did Harrods. So inside of the Harrods flagship, we have a shop in shop. And most recently here in the US, you're able to find us in Miami in Coral Gables. And at the Neiman Marcus in Coral Gables. So we just finished that project last year as well. And again, the different adaptations of taking what we learned in the boutique and adapting it to the different iterations. And most recently, we just finished one in Vancouver. So I hope that as you're seeing the pictures, you can see some similarities between each of the different locations and recognize our brand codes. So what did we learn? So we learned to uncover the brand's DNA. we want to extract the pulp, is what I like to call it, and then remodeling and thinking about the future. So why is it important to think about a brand's DNA when you're creating, as most of you, most of the viewers that you guys have are creating windows, you are creating spaces, you're creating the face of the brand that the consumer sees. So in our world, it's very important to understand what the brand's DNA is, because that guides everything else that you do. So it's at the core. So the brand DNA is at the core, and from that core, at the center, you have the know-how, you have the experiences, you have the craftsmanship. And then at the very exterior, which is the consumer facing, is the engagement, the products, the look and feel. But without the DNA, you're not able to express that over and over again in different versions. So I like to leave a little example as well. My 5 steps to retail design thinking. At first, you got to look in and look out. So look at the competition, see what they're doing, take from that, and extract the pulp. So what is it that makes that brand unique? What makes it interesting? Get that pulp and then find the brand's DNA. Once you have the DNA, then you can get creative. Then you can explore, you can play, because you'll always keep the brand's DNA intact. That's something that's not going to be changed. And then you're able to test and prototype, because in the retail world, we're constantly evolving. Everybody's looking for the next best thing. There's always changes, especially now in this new environment. So we're always testing, prototyping, seeing what works. And it's a loop, it's a cycle. So we go back, once we prototype and test in stores, we go back and look at the competition, see what we can change, adapt. But again, we keep the brand's DNA intact. It's immovable. And I'll leave you with another visual. So step 1, we take our fruto de oro, we squeeze it, we make some juice, and you make some mimosas. And that's the next part with the brand partnerships and collaborations, taking another, our DNA, mixing it with another brand's DNA, and that's how you get a successful collaboration, or in this case, a mimosa. So thank you guys. You can follow us on Acqua di Parma Official on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook. And I'll leave it for any Q&A. So thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. I'm gonna put an applause on my screen for Josias. And thank you so much, Josias. This was great. We'll leave it up to the guests to see if somebody has questions or compliments or anything. You can chat the question, and I'll make sure to say it, or you can just unmute yourself and ask the question again as
Can
well.
we see all the participants, or how do you?
Yeah. We can unmute them. So they can, okay. Some of them rather text them than say it, but I can, it's beautiful, awesome, stunning, luxurious, wonderful. Thank you for sharing, from Gaylor Rendell. That was great representation. Louise Campbell, that was great. Gaylor Randall, beautiful spaces. So many compliments for Josias and Acqua di Parma. Somebody has a question. Is the time? I have a few, so don't let me talk, please. Wonderful presentation, very knowledgeable about Acqua di Parma brand strategy from Raj. Louise Campbell, beautiful work, looks amazing. Angela Ibarra, great presentation. Thank you, Josias. Meliskas, excellent presentation. Joel, thank you, beautiful spaces. Perhaps I'll ask my question in the meantime, Josias, because I do want to know this. Acqua di Parma is a brand with so much history, and I wonder, how do you guys set up the limits to how much to innovate, or how much it's allowed to transform the codes or adapt the codes to current situations? You might want to engage to some younger audience, but perhaps the ways that the audience engage is not the way that Acqua di Parma may want to be seen. I don't know if my question is clear. Like,
Yeah. No, I think you're.
What is the limit? What is the boundary for a brand like you guys to be, okay, this is great because we're going to engage with millennials, but this is not us?
Yeah, and I think every brand deals with it a little bit differently. For us, we're thankful enough that we have a great creative team that allows us to play. So we, for example, right now we're working on a strategy for TikTok. So that's not something that we normally would think of.
Exactly my question.
I wouldn't have thought about it, even a year ago. But now we're engaging in those conversations.
Yeah.
A lot. It takes some time, but a lot of the brands are already on board and they're doing something. So going back to my design thinking formula, those 5 steps, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing what other people are doing. We're seeing the best practices. We're seeing some brands that are not doing it so well. Maybe, and in some cases, there's even backlash. Especially during this COVID period, we saw certain brands were in icky situations because there was backlash to some of the initiatives that they were doing. So again, we will really look at that. We'll look at what's in the current landscape, and then from that point, we're able to make something new.
I see. Interesting.
It also goes for, it's not just for engagement with customers, but it's also even products.
Yes.
So it's a whole range. It's part of our DNA. We are a fragrance first brand, because unlike maybe you have, there's obviously lots of fragrance brands, and now more than ever, lots of niche fragrance brands. One thing I can say specifically about our brand is that we are fragrance first. So we started as a fragrance house rather than being a fashion house. Or, I showed you that first slide. Some of you guys didn't know exactly what we made, because it can become a bit diluted if a brand starts focusing on so many different products. So we've been able to maintain that we are fragrance first, and you can see that because of the longevity of our brand, it's been over 100 years and we're still known for fragrance.
Okay, we have a question from Instagram, Josias,
Sure.
and it says, how do you determine different layouts for different locations?
The different layouts for the different locations. Well, first, it depends on the regulation or where the location is. So if it's in a mall, sometimes the mall will dictate certain things that have to be in certain places. I'm thinking of safety, and especially now as we move into the new era of hygiene.
Yep.
So a lot of the brands, a lot of the layouts will develop and evolve because of the restrictions and parameters that we have. Otherwise, it's sometimes even those parameters are something we didn't think about. So for example, in most of our boutiques, we ensure that there's a barbershop component. When there's a barbershop component, there's certain regulations with that. There's certain plumbing, for example, is sometimes you might think it's a no-brainer, but we've had instances where we're ready to do a project, and all of a sudden we find out there is no water in that space. So sometimes it's hard restrictions, and then it adapts to the different regions. So it's also regional. So in the U.S., for example, the heights of certain fixtures are different. So and the layout of the spaces here, we have to comply with ADA regulations. In other countries, that might be a little bit more flexible. And also, if you've noticed, in the U.S., we tend to have smaller formats, especially here in New York.
Yeah.
Our spaces are tiny.
Yeah.
Where you go to another country and you might have 3,000 square feet to play with.
Yeah.
So it all depends on location, the demographic, and restrictions that are movable or not.
I see. Okay, let's see. Somebody else has a question. Let us know.
Hey, Josias, it's John. Fantastic presentation. I've got 2 questions for you. The first, can you just talk about the makeup of your team? And the second question is, congrats on winning the digital initiative for the best consumer experience in luxury and beauty. I'd just be curious to hear from you as far as what you think other trends that you see when it comes to digital and beauty within the retail environment.
Okay, I'll answer the first question. The team. So we are headquartered in Italy, so most of the team is in Italy. From that team, as you saw, Claudio and Sonia, then we have regional heads. So I'm based here in New York, and I manage US and Canada. We also have another member that oversees London. Sorry, is based in London and oversees the UK. We have a small team in Asia, and we have a small team in Latin America. So just in my division specifically. So the team is bigger than that, of course, but the key players are in those regions. And then to answer your second question, the innovation in our field, who do I see as a benchmark? When I've been in the field for a while, and I've seen a lot of different solutions. I remember seeing back when Sephora was trying to do their fragrance finder, and they were trying to make it cool and exciting and really engaging. But ultimately, it resulted that nobody wanted to use it because the system that they had didn't operate. When you press the button, some of the gel or the juice of the fragrance got clogged up in the little spritzer, so you couldn't really smell it. So for me, it would have to be whatever innovation has to be user friendly. The technology has to be well advanced, that there are no glitches or complications with it, and it has to work. Otherwise, customers are not going to use it. And more and more, what I'm seeing, for example, even this idea that a while ago, everybody thought virtual reality was going to be the new thing. So, how do you showcase fragrances in a virtual space as we're doing today? So a lot of brands are thinking about that now that we're all at home, and most of the fragrance brands have limitations to how they can engage with their customers. So we're thinking and exploring ways to engage with consumers via smart sampling strategies.
Nice.
So that's something that we're thinking about. I remember what did I see lately that I kind of like? I kind of like the vending machine idea, to be honest with you. Those Tokyo vending machines that they have in Japan. I've seen some brands do it as an event where they will, a customer will go in, do some playing around with some touch screen, receive a sample of the brand, and then be able to engage with the brand in that way. Again, so it's touchless, very minimal interaction. That doesn't work in every setting, but that's one trend that I'm noticing, that people are now engaging. If we're talking about trends, in thinking about touchless ways to reach customers, fast ways, and now we're in a 24/7 cycle. So you're on your Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on your phone. So ways to interact with customers digitally is what I'm noticing a lot.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing.
I love the vending machines too. I'm a victim of those things, honestly.
I mean, it works for some brands. I don't know if we'll do it, but I mean, it certainly is interesting if we're talking about creative ideas.
Okay, let me see. Let me monitor the Instagram. Everybody's asking for your presentation, Josias, where they can find it. So, okay, let me see.
Well, the short answer is Josias' profile on WindowsWear is where you could find the images and the presentation. And Josias is going to try to make as much information that he can available, understanding that he doesn't want to share something that he can't share from the brand. So we're very excited that Josias is here to share what he can, but obviously there's always limits of how much you can share.
Josias, on a question for you as the job, such a important job and role that you have, how do you keep up to date with what's out there? How do you keep yourself relevant, you know, with news ideas, new technologies, stuff, inspiration, stuff like that on a personal level?
Yeah, so ironically, I mean, it's full circle here. So I look at companies like yours. So you're able to provide a digital platform that
Thank you.
populates or aggregates a lot of the stuff that my competitors are doing. So yes, I use, for example, your site and similar sites that aggregate the information. Because again, I may not have time to travel as much or visit those locations, but I can see a quick picture of it and immediately recognize the brand's DNA and be able to take inspiration from that through a picture. And like everybody else, I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
So I'm on Instagram incognito. So I like to go incognito, and I like to see how the brand is treating me as if I was a regular customer.
Yeah, of course.
So that's those are where I get my inspiration. And you know, fortunately enough, I'm here in New York City, so a lot of the brands test and prototype their innovation here in the city.
Yeah,
So
we get so many pop-up.
yeah, you'll see a lot of the pop-ups, a lot of the events that are, you know, they spend the most amount of budget or even engagement here in the city. So I'm fortunate in that sense.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Somebody else has a question before we wrap this up?
Gayla, do you have a question? I see in the chat, Gayla, you had a question?
Okay,
Yes, I do. I just wondered if there were any surprises that he found during the rebrand process that was totally missed from his personal view, but was brought to his attention.
Yeah, that's a great question. So thank you for that. Some surprising research was that different regions perceive us differently. So as much as we think that, obviously in Italy, it is recognizable as an Italian brand, and we are recognized for our iconic yellow. In other parts of the world, we are known or we're perceived as the blue brand because we have an extension of our Blue Mediterraneo collection. So for example, in regions like Korea, China, for example, we are known primarily for our Mirto and Fico scents. So that was surprising to me, thinking that we were, you know, everybody knows us for yellow. Some regions know us for our blue line.
Great, thank you.
Okay, somebody else, let me see. I think.
Josias, hi, Jolene here. What kind of trends do you see emerging in these kind of new retail concepts? Anything that like you're excited about?
Yes, emerging in new spaces that I've seen has been a focus on sustainability. So I'm happy to finally see that getting some traction. A lot of the brands were greenwashing it. And I use the term greenwashing and by saying that, you know, I put in, you know, an X amount of recycled things here, or I used, you know, this laminate was, you know, recycled wood or paper, whatever, but it really wasn't part of the brand's DNA. It was just an add-on. So I'm seeing a lot of, especially now with the brands that have started digitally and come to brick and mortar, that has become an emphasis in the community. And especially it's been something that younger consumers can, not only do they desire it, but they're demanding it. So that's one trend that I've been seeing. And a lot of the digital stuff. So whether it's touch screens, whether it's video content, a lot of the industry is moving towards digital first. So that's another interesting thing. I'm not sure how it'll, you know, how big it'll get, but there's been a lot more. I don't know if you go to if there's a, they did this in Europe. When you go to their perfumeries or their department stores, the shelf talker will display a message, a digital message of the brand. So you don't, you know, it's sort of self-service now. And again, not in every location, but that interweaving of digital with the real life is interesting.
Thanks. Those are great insights.
Perfect.
Okay. Somebody else? I can ask a question if you guys are shy.
I mean, I hope I answered everybody's.
I think so. I mean, there's so many comments in the chat. You can get to them later, and there's so many compliments about it. So maybe you explain it all. So
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that if you know, there's not that many questions. It tells me that, you know, we at Acqua di Parma have been clear in the new direction, and have been clear in it's easy to digest, and it's palpable. You know, all the initiatives that we've been doing, because we really have tried to extrapolate it to the most simplest forms.
yeah.
Josias, I mean, this was fantastic. Thank you again. And we'd love to invite you in the future to come on again. I think we all learned a lot of fascinating insights from you, and we all very much appreciate how open you have been with us and inviting us into your world.
You guys are always welcome to our home of light and life.
Perfect. Luis Campbell says, great presentation. Thank you. This was very informative. The brand strategy story was very interesting. Beautiful spaces. Love it all. Thank you, Josias.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. You guys can find this video if you want to rewatch it on WindowsWear.com on the page, on the events page, in the events for today. There's going to be there in perhaps tomorrow. It'll be there in case you want to rewatch it. Thank you so much, Josias. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday. Jolene, what do we have next Tuesday? Do you remember on top of your head?
Next Tuesday is the business of beauty. So we're going to take a look at different facets of the beauty industry and see what they're up to.
Perfect. Next Tuesday, 3 p.m., The Business of Beauty by Jolene Mujica herself. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and see you guys next week. Thank you, Josias.
Thank you, Josias.
Thanks, Josias.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.